Dank Monkey here, welcome back to the Forge. I've made a lot of questionable D&D characters, but these 5 are special. They stand out. One can sneak attack you on its turn, and then do it again on yours. One can put 350 damage into a single arrow under the perfect conditions. Another one can attack you from 1,200 feet away. One figured out how to smite with a longbow. And number one just doesn't even care how much damage you deal. It would prefer the DM stop hitting altogether. And these are going to be the 5 most broken 2014 D&D builds that I've made so far. And real quick, today's questionable fashion choices are brought to you by Chaotic Evil Apparel. Shirt, hat, bad decisions, all available at chaoticevilapparel.com. Now, back to the crimes. And I'm not ranking these by the biggest theoretical damage numbers. We're looking at rules as written power, reliability, how early the engine works, resource costs, versatility, and naturally, how violently the build makes your DM reread the rulebook. Starting at number 5, let's get it. Starting with number 5, we have the Turn Thief. And this entire build exists because of 3 incredibly important words: once per turn. Most players treat sneak attack like it's once per round. It isn't. A rogue can sneak attack only once during a particular turn, which means if we find a legal way to attack during someone else's turn, sneak attack is available again. So we take 13 levels of Swashbuckler Rogue and 7 levels of Eldritch Knight Fighter. Swashbuckler lets us operate as a melee duelist. We've got a rapier, dueling, booming blade, fancy footwork, rakish audacity, and eventually 7d6 sneak attack. On our own turn, we can cast booming blade, stab somebody, apply sneak attack, and walk away without provoking from the target. But fighter gives us the real crime: action surge. Attack on our turn, sneak attack, action surge. Then instead of immediately attacking again, we use the extra action to ready an attack. The trigger happens later on somebody else's turn. Our reaction fires, rapier connects, and because this is now a different turn, sneak attack can happen again. Same round, different turns, completely legal. And once Sentinel arrives, we don't always need action surge. If an enemy next to us attacks somebody else, Sentinel can give us a reaction attack. If that attack qualifies, another off-turn sneak attack. At level 20, a full hit action surge sequence with the off-turn attack averages around 97 damage, before the additional booming blade movement rider. If the target decides to chase us and triggers that rider, we can push the package to roughly 115 damage. But here's why the Turn Thief stays at number 5. Your reaction economy is brutal. Sentinel, ready to attack, shield, uncanny dodge, opportunity attack, you only get 1. This build doesn't generate infinite attacks. It forces you to choose exactly how you're going to ruin somebody else's turn. And if stealing somebody else's turn sounds rude, well, number 4 would rather make sure that they never get a turn. In spot number 4, we have the Gloom Reaper. 3 levels of Gloom Stalker Ranger, 17 levels of Assassin Rogue, and 1 objective: end the encounter before the target ever gets to participate. Gloom Stalker gives us Dread Ambusher. We add Wisdom to initiative, gain extra movement on the first turn, and when we take an attack action on that first turn, we get an additional attack carrying an extra d8. Then Assassin supplies the Nightmare. If we actually surprise the enemy and attack while they're still surprised, Assassinate turns the hit into an automatic critical. And at Rogue 17, we get Death Strike. Hit a surprised creature, it makes a Constitution save, and if it fails, double the damage of that attack. Again, and I want to be really precise here, 2014 D&D doesn't actually give you a magical automatic surprise round. You need to legitimately surprise the creature, win the initiative race, so that you act before it finishes being surprised, and then hit. When everything works though, this gets stupid. Take the Dread Ambusher arrow, longbow, 9d6 sneak attack, extra d8 from Dread Ambusher, sharpshooter, piercer, dex 20. Assassinate doubles all those damage dice because it's a critical. Then Death Strike doubles the resulting damage on a failed save. Without Hunter's Mark, the absolute max is 326 damage. If Hunter's Mark is already running and legitimately part of the setup, 350 damage from 1 arrow. Now that's the laboratory ceiling, not something I'm pretending happens every combat. The entire build depends on stealth, surprise, initiative, actually hitting, and the enemy failing a constitution save. But when every condition lines up, the Gloom Reaper does not start combat. It submits the ending. Of course, assassinating something requires getting close enough to shoot it. Number 3, consider that an unnecessary design limitation. Coming in at number 3, the Horizon Reaper attacks from 1,200 feet away. Not metaphorically, not really far, 1,200 feet. The engine starts with Eldritch Blast, normal range 120 feet. Warlock 2 gives us Eldritch Spear, which changes that range to 300 feet. Spell Sniper doubles it, 600 feet. And that cost us absolutely nothing. No spell slot, no sorcery point, no concentration. Then Sorcerer gives us Distant Spell. Double it again. That gives us our 1,200 feet. At character level 17, Eldritch Blast fires 4 beams. So we cast a Distant Eldritch Blast, 4 attacks from 1,200 feet away. Then Fighter 2 looks at the situation and says, do it again. Action Surge. Second Distant Eldritch Blast, another 4 beams. 8 attack rolls from 1,200 feet away. With 20 Charisma and Agonizing Blast, if all 8 connect, that's 84 average force damage. And it only costs us 2 sorcery points, 1 action surge, and 0 spell slots. But if we're willing to crawl all the way into the dangerously intimate distance of 600 feet, we get another mode. Quickened Eldritch Blast as our bonus action. 4 beams. Normal Eldritch Blast as our action, 4 more. Action Surge, do it again, 4 more. That's 12 Eldritch Blast beams, 126 average force damage if every beam lands. And no, we don't stack Quickened and Distant on the same casting. The build doesn't need imaginary meta magic. There are also practical limitations. You still need a valid target, total cover still works, terrain still exists, fog exists, walls exist, and most D&D maps are apparently designed by someone terrified of distances greater than 40 feet. But when the battlefield actually opens up, the Horizon Reaper can begin contributing from a distance at which the enemy needs travel time just to complain. But number 2 doesn't want to reinvent the range of a spell. It wants to take something paladins explicitly cannot do and do it anyway. Bringing us to number 2. Paladins cannot normally Divine Smite with a longbow. Divine Smite requires a melee weapon attack, so naturally, we stop being a paladin. Meet the Bow Smiter, because Eldritch Smite has different wording. It triggers when you hit a creature with your packed weapon. It doesn't say melee. Improved packed weapon lets that packed weapon become a longbow. And once it's our packed weapon, Hexblade lets us attack with Charisma. Now we start stacking. Archery Fighting Style, Sharpshooter, Elven Accuracy, Hexblade's Curse, Life Drinker, Eldritch Smite. And Fighter 2 gives us Action Surge. The Nova round goes something like this. Bonus action, Hexblade's Curse. Action, attack. Thirsting Blade gives us 2 arrows. Action Surge, attack again. 2 more arrows. That's 4 shots, and one of those hits can carry Eldritch Smite. Important, Eldritch Smite is once per turn. Action Surge does not magically give us 2 smites. It gives us 4 chances to find the hit that we really want. And at high levels, the build becomes horrifying at doing exactly that. Foresight gives us advantage. Our bow attacks use Charisma, so Elven Accuracy works. Hexblade's Curse expands our critical range to 19 or 20, so we're throwing 3 d20s at each attack looking for a crit. And when we find one, that is where the 5th level Eldritch Smite goes. A regular Smite hit in the final configuration averages around 58.5 damage. A critical Smite hit averages around 90. And if all 4 Nova attacks hit and one of them is the crit carrying Eldritch Smite, 184.5 average damage across the volley. There's even a funny tactical problem. Eldritch Smite can knock the target prone, which is great for your melee allies, but terrible for the longbow attacks you still need to make. So unless dropping a flying creature or controlling the enemy is more important, you should try to smite on your final shot. This build is powerful, practical, accurate, has Warlock spellcasting and Mystic Arcanum on top of the bow engine. And unlike number 3, it doesn't require the DM to hand you a battlefield approximately the size of Delaware. But it still isn't number 1, because every build so far has been trying to optimize what happens when we attack the enemy. The strongest tank build I've made asks a different question entirely. What if enemy attacks just stopped mattering altogether? And that brings us to number 1. This build has outperformed every other individual build that I've put on the channel. The Infinite AC Architect. And before the rules lawyers begin levitating out of their chairs, no, the AC is not literally infinite. The name comes from what this build actually does. Layer defensive systems until every enemy decision becomes a bad decision. We begin Fighter for heavy armor, shield, and the defensive fighting style. Then 15 levels of Guardian Armorer Artificer turns us into an actual threat control tank. The Thunder Gauntlets matter enormously. When we hit a creature with one, that creature has disadvantage on attacks against targets other than us until our next turn. Extra attack means we can tag multiple enemies. So now the enemy gets a choice. Attack our friends at disadvantage, or attack the walking refrigerator deliberately engineered to make attack rolls miserable. At high Artificer levels, our defensive infusions give us the foundation. Plate 18, shield +2, defense fighting style +1, enhanced defense on the armor +2, repulsion shield +1, 24 base AC. No magic item Christmas list required, no friendly cleric required, just the build. Then we add haste, 26 AC. And when an attack actually gets through, reaction, shield, another +5, 31 AC. And this is where I need to correct one thing from the original version of the build. Shield and Arcane Deflection do not stack. Both require your reaction. You choose one. We do not need them together to reach 31. Haste plus shield already does it. War Wizard gives us Arcane Deflection as a different tool. If one attack barely connects, we can take the +2 AC against that attack. Or if the problem isn't AC at all, and we just failed a saving throw, +4 to that save. Then Artificer brings Flash of Genius, giving us another way to protect crucial saves and checks with intelligence. Again, reaction economy matters. Flash of Genius, shield, Arcane Deflection, you don't get all of them at once. The real strength is that you can select the defense the situation actually requires. Then there's Mirror Image, temporary HP from Guardian's defensive field, Absorb Elements, Armorer Spellcasting, Artificer Infusions, and at Armorer 15, Perfected Armor gives the Guardian additional battlefield control by dragging enemies back toward the Walking Fortress. So imagine being the monster. Attack the Wizard, Thunder Gauntlets may give you disadvantage. Attack the Artificer, potentially 26 AC before shield. Try a saving throw effect, now Flash of Genius or Arcane Deflection enters the conversation. Finally hit them, there are temporary HP and defensive spells behind the armor. That is why this is number 1. Not because it produces the biggest screenshot-friendly damage number. It changes the enemy's decision tree. A good tank doesn't just survive attacks. It makes attacking anybody feel wrong. And that's what the Infinite AC Architect does. So those are my 5. Number 5, the Turn Thief. Number 4, the Gloom Reaper. Number 3, the Horizon Reaper. Number 2, the Bow Smiter. And number 1, the Infinite AC Architect. 5 completely different ways to make 2014 D&D regret giving us multi-classing. And these aren't just level 20 character sheet experiments. Every one of these has a complete level 1 through 20 progression and breakdown, including when the actual core engine comes online. Those full breakdowns and condensed build cards are already waiting inside Dank Monkey's Arcane Forge. But now, I want to know something. Which one did I rank wrong? Because somebody is already typing. I can feel it. And more importantly, what 2014 build deserves a shot at dethroning number 1? Welcome to the Forge. We'll break another one next Friday.